Who do you think will win in a battle between ancient ice and the power of eternal stone? Ymir, one of the most ancient and powerful entities in the Marvel Universe, is the embodiment of primordial ice from the Age of Chaos. He was formed from the eternal ice of Niflheim and exists as a giant with a height of tens of meters. His body is made entirely of living ice. Ymir's power is almost limitless. He can create and control snowstorms, freeze entire territories in just a moment, and regenerate even when destroyed into pieces. Any physical or conventional energy attack can hardly. Ben Grimm is a key member of the Fantastic Four. After being exposed to cosmic radiation, his body transformed into a super durable block of stone, giving him tremendous physical strength, endurance, and durability. The thing can lift hundreds of tons, withstand blows from entities as strong as the Hulk, and fight for long periods of time without tiring. His greatest strength is his close-quarter combat ability, allowing him to get in close and deliver devastating punches. Before we dive into the analysis, please hit the subscribe button and remember to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you very much. To the north is Niflheim, the land of mist, darkness, a dark and cold realm, made of high glaciers and mountains shrouded in mists of darkness. At its center is the Ymir, from Haver, hot source, Ymir, thunder, the roaring cauldron born of hot winds and lava from the south, where the raging rivers Elyvagar spring forth, carrying poisonous ice in their black waters. To the south is the fiery realm of Muspelheim, a world of fire, flame, heat, and light. Its sole inhabitant is the fire giant Surt, black, swarthy one, who is so old that even he can no longer remember. The fiery winds that stir the air from Muspelheim are partly due to the fierce swings of his sword. Poisonous rivers were born from the melting ice of the north, carried by the southerly winds towards the third realm and the center of Ginnungagap, the primordial abyss, a silent void, waiting to be filled. The flames thrown, and those carried by the wind, fell on the ice drifting to Ginnungagap and melted it over time. From the melted ice, two beings emerged. One was the primordial frost giant, Ymir, also known as Brimir, Orgelmir or Blind. The other was Audhumla, the primordial cow goddess of fertility and nurturing. From Audhumla's udders flowed 4 streams of milk, which Ymir drank for sustenance, craving more and more as he grew to a gigantic size over time. He grew so large that he alone filled most of Ginnungagap, and it did not stop. Ymir is said to have emerged from the primordial void, a giant of such terrible strength and size that his very existence became the force that created the world. According to the Prose Edda and the Poetic Edda, Ymir's body was the material that later formed the mountains, the seas, and the sky. However, despite his great power, Ymir was no match for Odin, the supreme god of the Aesir. He was the essence of primordial chaos, both evil and androgynous, but also the progenitor of the Jotun and Aesir. Ymir was formed when the endless ice of Niflheim met the fiery heat of Muspelheim. The fusion of ice and fire created dense dew, which crystallized into the form of a majestic giant. His life was sustained by the pure white milk of Audhumla, a mythical sacred cow. Audhumla licked the salt rocks, and with each stroke of her tongue, the shape of a man emerged. Buri, the progenitor of the Aesir. Buri gave birth to Bor, and Bor married Bestia, a beautiful but powerful Jotun. From this bond, the blood of both Jotun and Aesir mingled. From the bond between Bor and Bestia, 3 sons were born: Odin, Vili, and Ve. The 3 brothers grew up in the light of destiny, possessing superior strength and the desire to create a new order for the universe. When the fateful moment came, they stood before Ymir, the primordial giant, and used all their strength to defeat him. Ymir's death unleashed a flood of blood that engulfed most of the Jotun race. Only Bergelmir and his wife escaped this tragedy, becoming the last survivors of their race. After the battle, Odin, Vili, and Ve carried Ymir's colossal body to the center of Ginnungagap, the endless primordial void. There, they began to create the world. Ymir's blood turned into seas and lakes, his flesh into land, his thick hair into forests, his strong bones into towering mountains, and his teeth and broken bones became rocks and pebbles that scattered everywhere. The giant's skull was lifted up, forming the vast sky, supported at the 4 corners by 4 dwarfs guarding the east, west, south, and north. Finally, Ymir's brain was thrown high into the sky, dissolving into clouds that drifted across the newly born sky. The universe thus entered its first age, formed from the blood, flesh, and breath of a fallen giant. but his legacy lives on in every mountain, every river, and every wind that blows across the land of Midgard. Odin is a widely revered god in Norse religion. Often depicted as the king of the Norse gods, the source of most surviving information about him, he is associated with wisdom, healing, death, royalty, the gallows, knowledge, war, battle, victory, magic, poetry, madness, and the runic alphabet, and is depicted as the husband of the goddess Frigg. In the wider Norse religion, he is known in Old English as Woden, in Anglo-Saxon literature as Woden, in Dutch as Woden, and in Old German as Woden. Odin, the father of all, is the supreme deity who rules over Asgard. Odin's residence on Asgard is Valhalla, the Hall of the Fallen. Odin is considered one of the most complex figures in Norse religion. Odin is the god of wisdom in Norse religion. Whether he is the wisest being in Norse mythology remains a mystery, but no one can doubt the knowledge and wisdom of Odin, the father of all. Odin was a man of knowledge. He had a desperate thirst for knowledge and wisdom. Odin never stopped learning. We can even call him a man of learning, because he was. Many great gods bore the surname Odinson. Some of the famous and powerful sons of Odin include Thor, the god of thunder and storms, Vidar, the god of revenge, Balder the beloved, etc. Almost all of Odin's sons were worshipped and loved by all living things in the universe. Odin was also one of the main creators of the universe. After killing the first giant of the universe, Ymir, Odin and his brothers Vili and Vi took Ymir's body parts to create the world. Teeth for the cliffs, blood for the oceans, brains for the clouds, etc. Walking along the shore, the three brothers saw 2 logs that they picked up and made 2 logs into humanity. And that was the first humans in the universe. I think he has great importance in Norse mythology. I really hope you subscribe to the channel, it will help us a lot, and you are the best, thank you very much. Ben Grimm is one of the most powerful warriors on Earth, second only to icons of strength such as Juggernaut, Hulk, Sentry, and a handful of heroes with similar abilities. When he first transformed, the Thing's strength was ranked at level 5, enough to lift and move a huge mass of up to tens of tons. His stone-like skin not only created a solid appearance, but also acted as a natural armor, almost immune to conventional firepower and withstood blows that could crush steel. Over time, his strength increased steadily thanks to fierce battles. Each of the Thing's punches could shake the ground, breaking reinforced concrete with just one strike. His endurance was enough to withstand powerful explosions or enormous pressure from the depths of the ocean. By the time he reached level 85, he had already reached level 100, showing his respectable position among the strongest warriors. The Thing's achievements ranged from stopping a giant alien spaceship that was being thrown out of Earth's orbit, to lifting a giant oil rig, to stopping and rebuilding a 0-ton multi-story building from collapsing. He once mastered a pile-driving mechanism with a thrust force said to be strong enough to pierce an entire planet, and at the bottom of the ocean, the Thing could match, even overwhelm, Namor in terms of pure strength. Even more impressively, despite still being considered weaker than the Hulk, he once sent Savage Hulk flying with a powerful punch, stunning his opponent in the middle of a fight. He was also strong enough to bleed Green Scar and defeat Immortal Hulk, one of the most powerful versions of the Green Goliath, who easily punished the Puppet Master. The Thing has always been a worthy opponent, capable of making any incarnation of the Green Giant wary. The Thing possesses the Thunderclap technique, a move usually associated with the Hulk. But when performed by him, it is still powerful enough to create a powerful shockwave, enough to stun even opponents as caliber as Magneto. With just one direct punch, the Thing completely defeated a Tyrannosaurus Rex, causing it to collapse instantly. He easily lifted a giant pyramid of steel and glass, weighing up to 150 tons, without showing any signs of weakness. The Thing once nearly defeated Vondar in a fierce confrontation, and did not hesitate to carry a bomb deep into the brain of Ego the Living Planet to complete the mission. He can continuously put Red Hulk on the defensive, launching a series of punches as heavy as a sledgehammer. The Thing's toughness and endurance were also clearly demonstrated when he was willing to confront the Silver Surfer, an entity with cosmic power. Not only did he withstand the attacks, but also exchanged blows on equal terms with his opponent. The Thing proved his position when he faced Dr. Doom on equal terms in his cosmically powered state, a feat that few would dare to imagine. He has defeated Sandman in a fierce battle, as well as held his own against Miracle Man, who is known for his fearsome abilities. He has single-handedly stopped a giant alien spaceship from being thrown out of Earth's orbit, demonstrating enough strength to move a giant block of metal in space. The Thing has held the main cables of a giant bridge for an extended period of time, withstanding a load pressure of up to 10,000 tons. Each of his hands can exert at least 7 tons of pressure per square inch, enough to crush a tank like it was a piece of paper. He has also lifted a giant stone pillar to use as a weapon in battle, and once even used an entire bus to crash straight into Namor, creating a devastating impact. In one fight, he used just a few punches to bend a series of streetlights and crush a car into scrap metal. When facing the Crimson Dynamo in his fully upgraded armor, the Thing still completely overwhelmed him, tearing through high-tech steel armor with his bare hands. He once threw a punch so hard that it shattered Hyperion's fist, forcing him to retreat. The Thing could tear apart partition doors with explosive force, or squeeze Reed Richards' elastic body so hard that his teammate cried out in pain. He even crushed Dr. Doom's sturdy helmet in his hands, revealing the true face of this notorious enemy. Hyperion, one of the most powerful heroes, once openly declared that the Thing's strength could be compared to Thor, the Asgardian god of thunder. Not only that, the invincible artificial intelligence Ultron with a nearly indestructible metal body also admitted that Ben Grimm possessed strength equal to his. His power is not only demonstrated through his glorious achievements, but also in his ability to stand firm in the face of catastrophic threats. In one encounter, Thing ignored the destructive power of a nuclear bomb, emerging from the explosion with an unshaken will. Thing has always proven that the title of the strongest man is not just a word, but a truth engraved in each battle. A massive ice storm suddenly engulfed the sky of New York, turning the entire city into a frozen white landscape. Ymir, the Lord of the Eternal Ice, carried the primordial cold from the beginning of time. The Thing was the first to appear on the front lines, firmly blocking the path of the ice giant. He roared, charging straight at his opponent with an opening punch, aiming to break the armor-like ice surrounding Ymir's body. But the impact was like slamming into an ancient mountain range, the force of the blow causing the ground beneath his feet to tremble. Ymir barely flinched, responding by slamming his giant ice hammer into the ground. The blow created a terrifying shockwave that spread for miles, turning the streets into vertical blocks of ice, destroying every structure in its path. The temperature around the battlefield dropped to freezing point instantly, to the point that the Thing's every breath turned into thick, white smoke. His muscles tightened, but his movements slowed under the numbing pressure of the bone-chilling cold. The Thing gathered all his strength, leaping up and grabbing Ymir's massive arm, each punch like a sledgehammer, shattering the thick ice covering the giant's body. Ymir's roar echoed like winter thunder, summoning a fierce blizzard, turning the ground into a cold mirror of ice, so slippery that a single misstep would result in a fall. The Thing was sent flying through a series of buildings, the brick and steel walls exploding into pieces as his body crashed through. Realizing that his opponent was small but had unyielding endurance and will, Ymir summoned his ancient power. From the thick snow, giant figures began to rise. At first, only a few dozen, then quickly, hundreds. Each titan had a strange shape, ice blades as sharp as knives, and a body that emitted a cold that cut through the skin. They rushed forward like a white wave, trying to drown the challenger. The Thing did not back down. He knocked down each titan, lifted one up, and used it as a weapon to smash the others. He lifted giant ice blocks and threw them at the approaching army, creating explosions of ice and shattering rocks. The battle turned into a chaotic storm of fire and ice, where the lone stone hero faced off against the giant snow army. The Thing quickly realized that even though the Titans' bodies were crushed, they could still be put back together as if time had been reversed. However, he noticed that each time he landed a powerful blow to the back of the head, some of the Titans collapsed and disintegrated into ice more quickly. After wiping out most of the giant army, Ben knew that if he continued to rely on strength alone to confront Ymir head-on, the result would be defeat. he decided to make a bold move, climb straight up the giant's body. Grasping the bone ridges and slippery ice, he used his strength to break the barriers to create a new foothold. His entire body shook as Ymir roared, trying to shake him off, while swinging his massive bony tentacles through the air like a storm. Ice shards flew everywhere, the sound of cracking echoed throughout the frozen space. As he closed in on his target, Ben focused all his strength into his arms, his muscles tensing like hot iron. He threw the strongest clobber-in-time punch of his life, piercing the ice armor and hitting the floating figure inside the skeleton in the back of the neck. A silent roar rang out as if from another dimension, and the entire massive skeletal structure began to crack, shake, and collapse in a whirlwind of melting snow. The thing had near infinite durability and nearly indestructible skin, allowing him to withstand the initial attacks of Ymir and her Titan army. And the winner, the thing. I hope you enjoy this fight. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Follow me if you like. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much.